Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and this time we've got the pleasure of watching Nicky 1998 playing in the Tier 5 French light tank, the ELC AMX. Now this vehicle was made famous on this channel by the one and only Sandu Bujige. I haven't seen any of his replays in a long time. I'll have to go fishing, not sure if you're still out there, buddy. I look forward to seeing if you've changed, I think, the 14,000 games you've played in your ELC AMX. Probably up to about maybe close to 20k if you're still playing, right? Lots of people really love this tank, and a lot of you guys out there really love this tank as well. My ELC AMX videos are amongst the most popular on the channel, and for very good reason. This vehicle is just so darn different. Sure, it's a very low profile tier 5 light tank that is highly mobile, although it doesn't have the best track traverse. The tank traverse on this vehicle is 38 degrees a second, so it feels a lot like a Banc Chatillon at tier 10. You have great top speed limit, you've got a great engine power, but you know, your track traverse can limit you from going around corners or just looping around your opponents super easily, especially considering that the ground resistances on this tank are rather mediocre as well. But the power to weight ratio is simply spectacular, which kind of makes up for the poor ground resistances. The power to weight ratio is nearly 40. And that's because this tank is absolutely super light. It weighs under 7 tons, 6,500 kilograms, before you put the equipment on, of course. But as this is a small vehicle, the equipment doesn't weigh all of that much. Now the ELC AMX, as you also see, has a fairly awesome gun. It's got a 90mm. That's the same kind of gun that you'll have on a tier 8 medium tank, a 90mm. But it just goes onto this tier 5 French light vehicle, but it has a terrible rate of fire and other statistics that are rather mediocre about the vehicle. Its DPM is 1,200, because while this tank has a fantastic alpha damage for a tier 5 light tank of 240, it has an awful rate of fire of 5 rounds a minute. That is not great for a 90mm. To put it into perspective, I'm thinking of a tank that has 5 rounds a minute rate of fire. Centurion 7-1, a tier 9 British medium tank, albeit with a 105mm gun that is very famous for having poor DPM at tier 9. But of course this is a 90mm at tier 5. Other statistics about the vehicle: 0.38 accuracy, certainly not the best, but also not exactly the worst, and 2.9 seconds aim time, with really bad gun dispersion values, 0.25 when moving and turning the tank, and also 0.2 when turning the turret. So what does this mean? ELC AMX takes a long time to aim, but when it finally does aim, it certainly does hit hard. Now Nicky is going to have an absolute awesome moment here. He pops over the ridge, auto-aim, one into the Skoda T25, and the Panther looks in dismay as his tier 6 Czechoslovakian medium tank ally is simply blown apart. Now Nicky's going to reverse, because the ELC AMX has a turret that is not fully traversable. It can turn, how much is it exactly? 15 degrees to the left and 15 degrees to the right. Certainly not the best, but it does give it a little bit of flexibility, and also allows you to activate your camo net and your binoculars while you do still have a little bit of a traverse. I guess still a lot like a tank destroyer, that kind of traverse on this vehicle. And so what this means is that you have to bomb it around in your low profile vehicle, using your mobility to avoid shots and try and close the distance, usually to short to mid ranges, to be able to try and abuse your opponents. One thing that this vehicle is also very famous for is its very low profile allows it to actually go up alongside enemy tanks that have poor gun depression and be able to shoot them without being shot in return. In fact, I'm pretty sure, considering how big the butt is of that Centurion, you could probably make your way along behind it and he could not depress his gun to be able to shoot you. So, great round so far for Nicky, 1,471 damage and 4 kills secured, but he's not done yet. He's going to finish off a tier 8 medium tank by the looks of it. Yep, shutting down the tier 8 Japanese premium medium tank, the STA-2 there, but he's got a tier 6 Japanese heavy tank that's going after him. Oh gosh, what happened here? Nicky just disconnected from this game, and he was going off in a direction, as we can see, right towards these buildings. And that's exactly where he was going, because a whole minute later, when he loads back into the game, he is face-hugging the building with the same OI behind him on a fraction of his initial hit points. And when we take a look at the spotting in the bottom left-hand corner, 1,781, that is 600 higher than when Nicky disconnected, suggesting that while his vehicle did go in a straight line, luckily being stopped in this building right next to a bush, he enabled the Cromwell Berlin and the T-44 to take 600 hit points off the OI. Other things to mention in the minute that we've missed is that the IS-3 on his team was annihilated by the IS-3 in the AMX M4 49 Liberté, and we now have no idea where the T-32 and the T-34-1 are, who were last spotted in the location here and here respectively. So Nicky doesn't hesitate, he jumps right back into the game, and he has to deal with the Tier 6 Japanese heavy tank, the OI. He immediately shuts him down with a good round to the side of that vehicle, and you've just got to think how fortuitous Nicky was that he ended up in the bush running into the building in the auto forwards that happens to you if you do disconnect in World of Tanks. But you know what? I think he deserved it. He was carrying this game super hard before he disconnected, which is probably no fault of his own. And for World of Tanks and Wargaming to give him a break and to give him a second chance in this game, you know, this is a real exciting one here. Unfortunately for Nicky, his team haven't done so well. While he is up to 6 kills, 1,600 damage, and 1,900 spotting in a Tier 5 light tank, in probably the worst possible matchmaking for this tank, which is against Tier 8 vehicles, he is now, very shortly, going to be alone against 5 opponents on the enemy team. Well, yeah, still 5. Rolls average there, doesn't quite roll high enough against the IS-3, leaving him on 24 hit points. So the Cromwell Berlin drops. Now he is against 3 Tier 8 heavy tanks. Oh, come on, Nicky. Chill out, buddy. Look where you're going. I know I was guilty of that in my last video when I literally drowned myself in my Centurion Action 10. But he's against 3 Tier 8 heavy tanks. 3 heavy tanks that are 3 tiers higher than him. Also a Tier 7 Chinese medium tank on the enemy team, and let's not forget the S-51, that if splashes pretty much anywhere near the ELC AMX is going to take him out. Now I love what Nicky does here. He's going to play this vehicle to its strengths. What do you do when you're outnumbered at the end of the game? Well, obviously you need to try and make use of your high alpha damage on this tank. Can you believe that this vehicle has the same alpha damage as the T-32? Actually it doesn't, because that vehicle can use 105mm, can't it? It doesn't have the 90mm. You can tell I've been playing the Patriot too much. But Nicky shuts down the IS-3 on the enemy team, removing one of the threats, and he has a glimpse at the T-32, and the T-32 has got 779 hit points. So that means that he's going to shoot him at least 3 times if he rolls high. Most likely he's going to have to put 4 rounds into the T-32 if he wants to take him out. But let's take a look to see exactly how many rounds he does need to fire. Now, one of the great things about the ELC AMX's 90mm is that its standard rounds has got 170mm of penetration. But if you do choose to fire APCR, and I would too if I was firing at tanks that were 3 tiers higher than me, then you have 248mm of penetration, which allows the ELC AMX to go through even the heaviest of armors. Oh my word, how lucky was that, bouncing the T-32 there. Great result off the tracks, I believe, and I love what he does here. He uses the building to evade the T-32, pulling back at the last possible second when he knows he's about to get behind the ridgeline. Now there's one tank in the cap circle that's very likely to be the AMX M4 49 Liberté, who I guess has decided, having seen the IS-3 being taken out, he's just going to let the T-32 do the dirty work. But then again, those two are in a platoon together. Wow, 82,000 games played. I'm still baffled. I thought I was a hardcore player, and he's played twice as much as me, guys. So the AMX is not very healthy indeed. 146. Now we understand why he might be capping out, and probably the sensible thing to do when you're a one-shot for the enemy ELC AMX light tank here. So Nicky, last known location of the AMX was right ahead. Will he be able to blind fire him? He doesn't need to blind fire him because he gets another quick glimpse at him. He goes forwards into the bush, can't quite get a shot around the building, has a shot probably into the back of the AMX here. Will he be able to hit it? Wait for it, wait for it. Oh no, it flies quite high. I think that one went into the turret, and considering it didn't interrupt the cap circle, it obviously didn't critically damage the AMX M4. It must have ricocheted off or missed him completely. Now he spots him again, and he also spots the T-32, and he makes his way away from the T-32, and he doesn't get spotted. That's because this vehicle does have incredible camo rating for a low-tier light tank. And it looks like Nicky does have a good crew on this tank. He's got a sixth sense, suggesting that he's most likely taken the concealment skill as well, which will be very useful on this tank for trying to out-sneak and outplay enemy vehicles. I just love what Nicky's doing here. He's constantly moving. He's waiting for the ambush shot. He's baiting enemy tanks into a position and then using the blind spots that he has to try and isolate and assassinate individual players. Great result here. So Nicky pops over the ridge. The S51 gets spotted but doesn't manage to spot him. And so that allows him to finish off the AMX. Great assassination there. Now he's going to drive at an angle away from the S51. The last thing that you want to do is really drive towards an artillery. You want to keep them turning. If the artillery are turning, then that means that they should be inaccurate. And hopefully these bushes will conceal him. Is the artillery going to splash him here? Oh, this is where you clench your buttocks. No. Okay. He should be okay now. I don't expect the S51 will be able to spot him while he's moving. Even if he was using coated optics and had a good skilled crew, the ELC AMX is very sneaky indeed. So now, back into the ELC's favourite environment, that is bushes. He's got to set up his binoculars. He's got to get his camo net going. And he should be able to easily engage this artillery. Where was he last spotted? There he is. Great stuff. 350 hit points means that he's going to have to shoot him twice here unless he sets him on fire. No fire, 224 damage. Doesn't really matter about the roll too much because he will be able to finish him off with his second shot. Where's he going to blind fire? He's going to sneak a shot between the roof and the chimney, but unfortunately the chimney jumps up and absorbs the shot, probably saving the S51 from a possible blind fire there. So, Nicky, what are you going to do in this situation? Now, 2 enemy tanks in the cap circle. But where is that T-34-1 on the enemy team? We haven't seen him in a while. We know where he was last spotted, but remember, I'm not sure if Nicky will remember that the last known location of the T-34-1 was up here. Possibly, he should still be in this location. Well, we'll have to find that out later on. Anyway, Nicky has got far more pressing things to worry about on the enemy team. A T-32 with 547 hit points. That means that he's going to have to shoot him 3 times now if he wants to remove him from the game. Unless, again, he does roll extra high and he will be able to take him out with 2 shots. The S-51 down to a 1 shot as well, but I guess he doesn't really have to worry about the artillery too much in those close quarters situations, as long as he can out-traverse his gun. So the T-32 gets spotted, but Nicky doesn't. That means he should be able to have the ambush up. 50 seconds left on the cap. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the game for Nicky to remove the last 3 opponents, so he's deciding to go in. He shoots one into the T-32. Can you believe he sets him on fire, but the T-32 uses his fire extinguisher. That is a great result. The artillery misses as well, and with 400 hit points, Nicky knows that he can take a shot from the T-32, and now reduced to 1 shot, he removes him from the game. Great result, and this S-51 is just a sitting duck. Nicky has to be super happy about this. Fantastic plays in the ELC AMX, using his knowledge of where the opponents will probably be looking by out-spotting them, knowing when he's hidden with his sixth sense, and just great close quarters combat jousting in the tier 5 French light tank to remove a couple of tier 8 premium heavy tanks there after taking out that IS-3. That IS-3, yeah, I guess he's got to be starting to feel bad about this, but no one thinks that an ELC AMX is going to be able to take out so many high tier tanks, right? Now, 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the game. Nicky has to watch out here. The T-34-1, I know where he was last spotted, but it doesn't look like Nicky can remember, because when he crashed out the game and he went back in, the last spotted location was removed, I guess, from the memory of his client. So where's he going to be? Nicky has scouted out the spawn. I guess that's where he thought an AFK T-34-1 would be. But the E-25 pings the map. Great stuff there. Terminator 330 showing Nicky where the T-34-1 was last spotted, and he's got 1 minute left. We can hear the countdown now. Where is this T-34-1 going to be? Is he going to be over this ridge line? Nicky can take 2 shots from him if it is a bot, or if he does come back from being AFK, and there he is. 819 hit points though and 44 seconds left. On a tank with only 1,200 DPM, it's going to be neck and neck whether he manages to kill this tank. So he slightly low rolls the first shot. 602 hit points now. That means he's got to hit him 3 more times. He cannot afford a miss. Nicky isn't closing the distance though. He's just going to sit there. He's shooting quite low right now. I wonder if he could be trying to engage the side of the turret there with the good penetration on his gun. 20 seconds left. 2 shots. There you go, 259. He should be able to do it. He gets spotted that time when he fires. How bizarre. 12 seconds left. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. No! No! No, no, no! Oh, what? He blows up at the end of the game? What just happened? So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, just when you thought this was going to be an absolute heartbreak, I am very happy to tell you that Nicky actually won this round of World of Tanks. Because it looks like even though RNG tried to mess with his last shell, the T-34-1 on the enemy team was destroyed by himself, I guess because he left the battle. And this is something that I have never seen happen before in the thousands and thousands of replays that I've watched. And I had no idea that this was a mechanic in World of Tanks, that if somebody leaves the battle, their vehicle is destroyed at the end. And if they're the last remaining tank, I guess that means that they're not going to get a draw for their team, or alternatively, if they're defending an assault, that they're not going to take down a victory. So Nicky, congratulations to you. You took this one down like a champ, and you get an ace tanker badge for your 2,612 base experience points. And that is the highest experience game that anyone has got so far in patch 917. In addition, Nicky gets an All-X medal for destroying at least 3 enemy opponents that are 2 tiers higher than his light tank, a Kolobanov's medal, the one that everyone wants, for standing alone against at least 5 opponents and winning, Pool's medal for his 10 kills, a Defender medal for his jousting inside the cap circle, and a High Caliber medal in a tier 8 game for 3,874 damage done, in addition to his 1,912 damage upon detecting, and quite a lot of that was while he was AFK. And there you go, there's the 663 spotting that was missing between his first replay and his second one, because they were 2 individual replay files with his crash, and it looks like Detective QuickyBaby was right about that one. And even without a premium account, he just about breaks even considering all of those APCR rounds he fired. I'd say that's not a bad result. Hey, Nicky 1998, thank you so much for uploading this replay on What Replays. I really enjoyed it. This is one of the best games I've ever seen in the ELC AMX, and that's saying something considering that there's a rather famous Korean Sundo Bujige who is a master in this vehicle. And hopefully all of you enjoyed this video as well. If you did, please give it a like, it really helps the channel out. And if this replay has got you in the mood for some more ELC AMX trolling, then simply click the more info icon in the top right hand corner of your screen to see a plethora of other awesome replays. And as it's Sunday, it's time for another Tech Tree showcase on my live stream. This week, Chris Andrews and 256 of you voted for me to play up to the T110E5. So come along right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. You can find a link down in the description below, and I also pin a comment to see me play through the entirety of the T110E5 line, starting, I guess, with the T1 Cunningham. And if you've never seen one of my Tech Tree showcases before, it's basically like a mini tank review all the way up the tree, where you can pick up tips and tricks and see me play the tanks, culminating in the top of the tree, this week's T110E5. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.